Good evening. My name is Jack Dearborn. I'm the chairman of the Weare Zoning Board of Adjustments. This is the August 2nd, 2016 meeting at 7:30. This evening we have two cases which we're going to hear. Case 0616, which was continued for Craig Francisco, and also case number 0716, Administrative Appeal for New Hampshire Signs. With that said, the way I run the meeting is that all questions come through the chair. And what I'll first do is seat the board. Before I do that, let me just ask, introduce yourself.
Mark Moretti, member.
Stu Richmond, member.
Malcolm Wright, member.
And for this particular meeting, why don't we have you, Tony?
I go by a Chip.
State your name, please.
Don Rogers, alternate.
Thank you. Okay, these are the members who are going to sit in behalf of case 0616 this evening. And the way we run the meeting is we do one application at a time. What we do is, before we deliberate on any case, I ask the board if they accept the case, meaning it's adequately filled up for us to hear the case. So that's the first act that we do. After that, then I'll ask the board if they have any questions regarding the case. And if they do, we'll ask the applicant to come forwards, and we will ask the applicant some questions which allow us to better understand what's going to happen. Once that's been done, and there's no questions from the board, then I'll ask the applicant to present his case, and we would ask that the applicant read into the minutes there, like for instance, for a variance of 5 points of hardship, so that it actually gets heard by all members and people at home, as well as put into the minutes. After that, after the applicant has read their application and their backup information, I will ask this board if they have any questions. Being none, at that point I'll ask the applicant to sit down. After that, I'll ask if there's any approving abutters that wish to speak on behalf of the application, disapproving abutters wish to speak, public at large, and other boards. Once we're done with that, I give the applicant another opportunity to rebut anything that may have been said, and after that I'll go around one more time, approving abutters, disapproving abutters, public at large, and other boards. After that's done, I'll shut the meeting down, and that's when we as a board will deliberate and make a decision. And it usually is, we approve it with or without conditions, and we turn it down for a reason. So, and also, if there's not enough information this evening, if the applicant wishes to extend this, stop the meeting, go off and give some additional information that they may think be pertinent, you can request the board to continue the case anytime during the case. So with that said, why don't we move forwards, and the members sitting down here at this point are going to hear the case. Case 0616 is Craig Francisco, 75 Bidger Bridge Road, Weare, New Hampshire, 03281, owner of the same. And he actually has he's filled out two articles. He could have done this on a combined, or he could have done it separately. He chose to do it separately. So we actually have two in parallel. So this is for the property is frontage on Wildwood Road is 276 feet. Frontage on the Bidger Bridge Road is 247. Side lot line on the Bridges Bridge is 326, and side lot on Wildwood is 350, and 359 feet on the rear of the lot. Proposed driveway to access a buildable lot. And the other one is, this one here is This is 17-1-1 I just read. There's also an application for 28-9, and this is for encroaching on a wetland. Am I correct? Buffer. And information's the same, and this is 0616-A. So, with that, any questions? I'd like to take them in parallel. We'll do one first and the second one, but I'd like to, a motion to accept both of these to hear it.
Move to accept case 0616 and case 0716.
No, 0616-A.
Dash A, sorry.
Okay. Well, that's it. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mark made it, Stu seconded it, and any discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. 5-0-0. Okay. Before we get too far into the thing, just kind of, for everybody here, just kind of tell them, pointing at the graph up there.
I actually have a little handout for you guys too.
Okay. Just give us an overview of what you wish to attempt.
Look, the history and little overview all at the same time.
Thank you, sir.
And I assume you were others? You have one for them? Good, thank you. We want everybody to see the same. Okay.
Well, I had a tablet with all my notes on it. Anyway, I'm Craig Francisco. The first page just shows you the subdivision map in 1972 that created this lot, which is lot 5, which I highlighted in yellow. Ronald Falls purchased lot 5 and 6 in 73. He then merged them in 78 to make them one lot. I then purchased from Ronald Falls in 2004. I did a lot line adjustment that basically put lot 6 with a 60-acre adjacent parcel that I own, and that made lot 5 the way it is today, which is the same as this plan, basically. So I also, shortly after that, received a permit from DES to construct the driveway, what I've been calling driveway A, which if I can, this driveway off of Visor Ridge to access this buildable area in the back. The permit is since expired. The second page of the little handout I gave you is a construction estimate from Preston Excavating to build that driveway. As you can see, it's almost $70,000. In May, which is the next page, I went to the Conservation Commission to see if they'd support this variance. I explained it to them.
Before you go there, Craig,
Yep.
just so I get it, I really want to hit the high points. The one you pointed to that goes across the wetland,
Yes.
that is what your original permit was for.
Yes.
You care not to do that because of the impact to the wetland and also the cost.
And the permit expired.
You're asking for the lower one.
Correct.
Please point to it, so everybody can see. So what you're requesting is a variance to 17-1-1, which is be able to build on a private road, correct?
Yes.
And the other one is 28-9, is you're gonna have an impact to the buffer.
A little bit of buffer right there,
Okay.
about 100 square feet.
Good. Okay, at this point, I'd like you to go down to the variance, your 5 points of hardship.
You want to see the pictures I took?
Sure.
Next page. Photo 1 is looking, would be standing at the driveway on a Abijah Bridge looking down the hill with Wildwood. My truck is actually parked at Wildwood. Picture 2 is looking up the hill. basically I'm trying to show that Beals Road is to the left by that large tree. In photo 2.
I don't have picture 2.
You're missing 2?
Okay.
Hey, you did 2 pictures.
I do now. Okay?
Okay. Picture 2 is just looking up the hill, showing the sharp curve in Beals Road to the left by the large tree. Picture 3, you see the large pine tree, that would be right at the crossing in the brook. And looking up the brook, just to show what the brook looks like. Picture 4 is on Wildwood, looking up the, what I'm calling driveway B, which I would like to do.
Which is the one on the bottom, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So photo 3 is what initially you would cross?
Yes.
Show us where that is roughly.
Standing here, looking upstream.
Okay.
So that's moved at this point.
Well, if I don't get the variance, that's my only choice. So the two driveways, the driveway that crosses the wetlands would disturb about, 2,050 square feet of wetlands and over 10,000 square feet of wetland buffer. So you're talking, in the driveway, the lower driveway off Wildwood would disturb 100 square feet of the buffer, no wetland disturbance.
Go through your 5 points of hardship, please. For 1711. Ask you to read the question and your answers.
Okay. That the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because the public interest, there's at least 5 current residents currently using Wildwood Road for access. And this lot is at the corner of Abijah Bridge and Wildwood. It will not be an extension of Wildwood, so as far as emergency vehicles, fire, and ambulance, it would not be any extension. The variance requested will not be contrary to the spirit of the ordinance because the lot was created in '72. Obviously, from the subdivision maps I showed you at the beginning, the intent was to access from Wildwood. The remainder of the Wildwood Road was created in '74. Wildwood Road is the existing road, and again, this proposal will not adversely affect the access of any emergency vehicles using Wildwood Road.
Right?
That through the granting of relief by variance, substantial justice will be done because a driveway from Abijah Bridge Road would require crossing the brook and disturbing over 2,000 square feet of wetland and over 10,000 square feet of wetland buffer. The cost of the driveway would be about, in excess of $69,000. The proposed alternative would only disturb 100 square feet of wetland and no actual wetland disturbance. And just so I can point one thing out too, the brook wetland buffer, that area is pretty environmentally sensitive. There's native brook trout in the brook. It is, I think you can help the picture. It's still flowing water today in this drought, so it's a nice brook. 4, that by granting the variance, the value of the surrounding property will not be diminished because the property is on Wildwood Road, also uses this road for access. The other surrounding property wouldn't see the driveway, so I wouldn't think it'd diminish. Please describe the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area. The lot's bisected by the brook that parallels Abijah Bridge, basically, which is, the brook is a pretty environmentally sensitive. The brook is rather steep, has a 200-acre drainage area, has some, like I said, native brook trout in it, some nice scenic waterfalls, especially up a little further on the property. with the brook there, the ground obviously slopes down fairly steep from the Abijah Bridge to the brook, and then, which would require a significant amount of fill to get from the Abijah Bridge. The map shows some green areas along the, I want to point this out earlier, I forgot, I'm sorry. These little green shade along this, that would be the amount of fill needed to get this driveway to grade. So it's just not the driveway, it's also all this fill that's going to be in the wetland and wetland buffer. So the ground sloping downwards to the brook and then to get back up the hill requires a significant amount of fill that would have a negative effect on the brook and the surrounding area. No fair or substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to this property. The best access off of Abijah Bridge is where I show the existing, where I show the driveway in that plan. The location provides adequate per the regulation site distance of roughly 200 feet. But Abijah Bridge is very steep in that area. It makes it sharp if you're going, I guess, east. Lake Horace is just off my map. It's going up fairly steep. You go past Wildwood Road. The road makes a fairly sharp curve to the left. So the driveway would be between about 90 feet from Beals Road, about 80 feet from Wildwood Road, which would create a potentially hazardous situation. Plus it's on the steep section of the hill, so it would be, you'd be pulling out and not be able to get going very fast right away. By granting the variance, you would allow access from Wildwood Road, thereby eliminating that potential hazardous condition. And how the proposed use is reasonable. And Wildwood Road's a private road, accessing 5 residences. This lot's at the beginning of Wildwood Road. The variance would eliminate a potentially hazardous intersection, would eliminate 2,000 feet of wetland impact, would eliminate 10,000 square feet of wetland buffer, and vastly and keep that area somewhat pristine along the brook.
Section D.
It's pretty much the same question, right?
It's 5.
5B, please describe the special conditions of the property distinguished from other properties in the area. Again, the property has an environmentally sensitive area with the brook. The topography is rather steep on both sides of the brook. The building site is in the southeast corner of the property, and the brook has a approximately 200-acre drainage area, which supports native brook trout. And okay, please indicate how owing to special conditions identified above, your property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable reasonable use. The access off the Abijah Bridge would damage environmentally sensitive areas in the brook and create a potentially unsafe intersection on a very steep grade. The variance would eliminate all wetland impacts, vastly reduce the wetland buffer impacts, and eliminate a hazardous driveway intersection. The proposed driveway would be relatively flat that slopes upward from Wildwood Road.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Open it up to the public. Any approving abutters wish to speak? Any disapproving abutters wish to speak? Calm down.
Okay, thanks. Is it okay just to describe a little bit of Wildwood Road? If anyone's not familiar with it?
Go for it.
Go for it? Okay. Just a little bit of the character. We're the Umsteads. We're right here, adjoining property here. Wildwood kind of is a dead-end dirt road, dead-end dirt road that starts at Abijah Bridge and kind of slopes up. So the property on this side towards the marsh is fairly flat. And all the property kind of on the side where the homes are currently slopes up. So there's a fair amount of runoff that happens. We've lived here on this road, not quite 30 years, but close to 30 years. And where we've had I don't know if this is appropriate, but we were here 8 years ago, same variance, same owner, same lot. That was disapproved. I don't know if I can say this, but basically disapproved because our main concern is the people on the road own maintenance of this road. And right at the beginning of Wildwood Road and Abijah Road, there's a culvert. And that's washed out twice in our time there. And it's cost us personally thousands of dollars to get it fixed, as well as the other people who live on the road. So any of the maintenance on the road, whether it's grading, snow removal, maintenance of the road, grading of the road, is the requirement, or the people on the road own that responsibility. We never get everybody to pay, but we have to do it. So when the culvert washed out, you have to get that fixed right away, because it's the only way people can get off the road, and it's the only way that emergency vehicles could get on the road. So you have to fix it. So you have to do it and then hope that people on the road will contribute to it. And our concern 8 years ago and our concern now is that if there's a variance off of Wildwood Road, which was kind of turned down before because they didn't want to start a precedent of having building off of the roads, and there was talk about improving the culvert, but there was no guarantee that those fixes would work. And this would increase runoff, because even if it's just the driveway to start, there's going to be runoff that happens very close to an already sensitive area. And then if there's construction, snow removal, any of the stuff that would start to kind of stream down a driveway, which happens on our road, it happens at a critical area. So we were concerned that the people on the road own the consequences. If you can get money from the people who live on the road, it's great, but we have to get it fixed, because emergency vehicles have to get on the road, people have to go to work, and all that kind of stuff. So our concern was having it come off here at a critical area. It's the responsibility of everybody on the road for as long as they live there to deal with the consequences. So that was our big concern there, and still is now, particularly when he has other options. In fact, 8 years ago, when we were here, just the month before, other people that lived down the road had been denied access, the only access they had, because it was a private road. So again, our big concern is that we would own the consequences. And when he bought this land in 2004, these variants, or this inability to come off of private road already existed. So that was another point of the board back in the day, is when he bought it, he knew that and kind of bought that hardship, so to speak. So again, our concern now is, as it was before, is just that whatever comes off of this road, the people on the road own the consequences to that.
Is there a road maintenance agreement?
There's a snow removal road maintenance agreement.
Anything recorded with the state?
No, it's just the people on the road. So there's some people on the road that do the plowing, and then each person on the road pays a percentage based on how far up the road we are. The guy on the end never pays. So the first 4 houses will pay a percentage. We pay like for this percent, and then the next people pay this and that. So every storm, we pay a certain amount to have some people on the road come in and clear it. So again, all the maintenance on the road is done by the people who live there, whether it's grading or anything like that.
Well, wouldn't it be expected that this person would have to contribute to that cost?
That's the hope. But again, we've never gotten everybody to kick in on things.
Let me just make a statement here.
Okay.
That's a civil matter. The town of Weare has nothing to do with the road.
Yep.
It's called
Yep.
a private road. And that's the problems of living on a private road.
Mhm.
So, you could say coulda, shoulda, woulda, but it's the status of the road is private, and it's to do with the people on the road.
Mhm.
And the town of Weare, if you wanted to improve that road, there's a betterment assessment that can be done, but
Mhm.
you'll end up paying for it as a special assessment on that road.
Now, would your house be visible on that map?
Yeah, it would be like right here. So our driveway's kind of right here and kind of slopes up a little bit, and our house is right here. Or, yeah, pretty much right there.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Other boards, public at large, Being none, would you like to say anything on behalf?
Yeah. She mentioned about the maintenance of wildwood, and I would hope that my wife and I are kind of thinking we might retire there, build a one-story ranch, and I would certainly contribute. If I don't, whatever. Whoever lives there should certainly contribute. The runoff to the culvert, if I build the driveway off of Viser Bridge, the longer driveway with the wetland impact, there's more runoff affecting that culvert than would be with the driveway off Wildwood. So the effect on the culvert, I think it's a 36-inch, at least it was at one time, 36-inch. The effect on that culvert would actually be less with the variance than would be with the other driveway. It'd be less grade.
Do I not say anything yet?
You'll have a minute.
Okay.
In a minute. You all set, Craig?
Yep.
Now it's your turn.
Okay, so if it did come off a Wildwood, the people on the road still own the consequence of that. If it came off a public road, then there would be, I think, other means, and I don't know the laws, but if there was degradation off of a town-owned road, then other people would be part of that solution.
Show me the culvert.
Oh,
Anybody. What do you think the culvert is up there?
It's right here,
Okay.
36-inch.
Well, I looked at the lot, and there is a 3-4 foot dip off from Wildwood Road where that little goes in. All right? The road, the driveway already exists, doesn't it? At some level? The
It was-
proposed driveway lit
I did some logging a couple years ago, and they brought some logging equipment in.
is clear.
It's clear. It's not stumped or graded.
So I'm trying to understand how putting that little driveway in affects the flow of water. There's no more water coming off that lot, because you're on the upside where that road is. That little driveway that he's proposing, B. Right? I don't understand putting that lower road is gonna put any more water than the culvert that already exists now. That's why I don't understand.
Well, technically, anytime you take trees, et cetera, and put a building in a driveway, you're making impervious areas, so there's gonna be a little bit more runoff. But the runoff is gonna go to the culvert, it's not gonna go on the road. There's a wetland
Correct.
the whole way along the road.
Correct.
Whether you have this driveway or whichever driveway you build, this is gonna have more impervious area, therefore more runoff going to the 36-inch pipe than this one would.
Okay. Because the bottom is the uphill, and it slopes down towards Viner's Bridge Road.
So this is the high point of the
Okay.
line.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, I'd like you to do the same for 0616A. That's for 26.9, section 26.9.
Granting the variance will not be contrary to public interest. The variance would allow for disturbance of 100 square feet of the wetland buffer, and there'd be no exit, there's no other access available that would not disturb either wetland or wetland buffer. This is the least effective buffer. Variance request will not be contrary to the spirit of the ordinance. Again, this is the least impactful alternative to access the buildable area. The lot was created in '72 prior to any ordinance, town or state, that protected the wetland or the buffer. And any alternative access lot would be disturbed possibly 100 times more wetland and wetland buffer. Through the granting of relief by the variance, substantial justice will be done because the variance is for only 100 square feet. And again, any other alternative be greatly increased disturbance. And I believe the section of this ordinance was added, 6, 8 years ago, something like that, to increase protection of the wetland. Without getting the variance, I would have to come off of Abijah Bridge, and as I stated previously, I'd be disturbing somewhere around 100,000 square feet of wetland impact, or wetland buffer, and 2,000 square feet of wetland. Again, that by granting the variance, the values of surrounding properties not be diminished because the abutting properties in Wildwood also use Wildwood Road for access, and all the other surrounding properties would not be able to see the driveway. Please describe the special conditions of the property, distinguished from other properties in the area. Again, the lot's bisected by the brook. These areas are environmentally sensitive. The brook is rather steep with a 200-acre watershed. It has some scenic waterfalls and some supports native brook trout. And the only buildable area is in the southeast corner of the property. No fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to this property. Access to the lot is not possible without a variance to disturb the wetland buffer. It just isn't. And any other proposed use is a reasonable one. Any other alternative access would require more disturbance of the wetland and/or the wetland buffer. Please describe the special conditions of your property that distinguish from other properties. Property has some environmentally sensitive areas, and the property is rather steep in some areas. The building site's in the southeast corner of the lot. And to access the area, the wetland buffer has to be disturbed. And please indicate how, owing to the special condition identified above, your property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable a reasonable use of it. The building area cannot be accessed without a variance to the wetland buffer. It has to be disturbed. And this proposal only disturbs 100 square feet. It is a very minimal disturbance.
Any questions? For that, I'll ask, any approving of butters wish to speak? Disapproving of butters wish to speak?
This is just on the wetland aspect of it?
Yes. 100 square feet. 10 by 10. That's what he's asking for. It's a minor issue, but you can't go into the buffer unless you obtain a variance. It's very small, but yet, because that's the way the rules are written, he's gotta get it. It sounds like a small issue, but it doesn't comply with our zoning, so it must get a variance. So that was the only reason he's asking, because he has to. Okay, being none? Okay. Craig, you wish to say anything? At this point, I'm going to shut down the public part of the hearing, and we'll ask for deliberation on 0616, which pertains to Article 17.1.1. 17.1.1. Okay. Mark, can I have you move question 1?
Move to accept, number 1.
Okay, Steve, can I have you second that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 500.
Move to accept, number 2.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? 500. Question 3, please.
Move to accept 3.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? 500. And 4?
Move to accept number 4.
Second.
Thank you. And that was Malcolm. Okay, no discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nay? Being none. 500. And question 5 in its entirety.
Move to accept number 5 in its entirety.
Second that.
Thank you, Malcolm. And any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 500. Okay. We need to do 0616-A, and this pertains to 28-9 for the 100 square foot of buffer.
Move to accept, 0616
A.
A,
Question one. Question one.
I'll second.
You did it for question one?
question one.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? And no. 500. Number two?
Move to accept number 2.
Second.
Malcolm, second. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstention. 500. 3, please.
Move to accept number 3.
I'll second.
Stu seconds it. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. Being 504.
Move to accept number 4.
I just thought I did 3.
That was 3.
I did 1, 2, 3, now we're on 4.
We're on 4, yeah.
Move to accept number 4.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Stu. Discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. 500 and 5 in its entirety.
Move to accept number 5 in its entirety.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Stu seconds it. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions. 500. With that, both variances carry. And we'll see Chip regarding your building permit or whatever you need to do next. Thank you. Okay. Now we have New Hampshire signs, correct? Okay. Don, you want to step down?
Yeah, I'll do that.
I will, I'll seat Mike.
And this way down on one.
Okay. Before we start, I see Mark, Stu, Jack, Mike, and Malcolm for this case. Okay, this is case 0716, New Hampshire Signs, 66 Gold Ledge Ave, Auburn, New Hampshire 032. And the owner is Ian 199 Johnstock Highway LLC, 1700 Shoresheen Street, Tewksbury, Mass. 01876. And the property address location is 99 North Stock Highway. Tax map is 203-35. And the proposed use, description of property: existing gasoline station, 250-foot frontage. Proposed use or existing use affected: gasoline service station modifications to existing sign, LED price changer. Why is proposed? Required appeal to the zoning board. Proposed modification to sign not allowed, and that was turned down by Mimi. I have it here somewhere. You should have it inside your package. And it was done on June 23rd, 2016, to applicant EN1. This letter to serve a denial of the sign permit application submitted on June 16, 2016 for the following reasons. Inconsistency with the Weare zoning ordinance of Article 34.9.5 and Article 34.7, see attached. Should you feel this decision made an error, please submit a formal application to ZBA. Through this office and administrative appeals deadline, the filing was August 2nd. Our meeting for July, occurred on July 2nd, actually August 2nd. And you have any questions, please call. It's signed by Chip. And commercial property. Denied, 62216. Attached there is a letter from Pat O'Connell, Vice President Energy North, 17 Shawshene Street, Tewksbury, Mass. And right here, this letter provides the authorization for New Hampshire Sign to act as our agent permitting. This involves installing two, and parentheses, two product LED price signs and mobile imaging. Okay, should the, if you have any questions, please call. Alrighty. Who would like to speak to this?
State your name for the record, please.
Name, please.
My name is Peter March. I'm the owner of New Hampshire Signs, 66 Gold Ledge Ave, Auburn, New Hampshire. I'm aware that my accent may cause some difficulty in understanding. I'll try and talk slowly if you don't understand anything.
Mine
please.
does too sometimes.
So,
Now, just before we get started,
Yep.
you're only speaking to the price signs, am I correct?
that is correct.
Not the mobile sign above?
Nope.
Okay.
Just the price sign. So if I approach over here, this is the existing sign. It has a mobile pectin on the top, illuminated, internally illuminated. It has a price sign that shows 3 grades of gasoline.
Say that again about the mobile sign?
The mobile sign is an internally illuminated
Correct.
sign. It is a pectin. It's described as a pectin.
I didn't know that, okay.
That's the term for it.
Okay.
There's a 3 price
Mhm.
sign that uses plastic
letters,
pieces
yeah.
to show the price. And then there's a diesel sign below that.
Mhm.
Okay. Our intention is to remove both of those signs and to replace it with this sign,
Mhm.
which is an LED sign where the digits are actually LED. They're commonly seen, and they're changed by remote control, something like a garage car opener. So we want to take these 2 out and replace it with that one.
Okay. Why don't you go through your presentation, if you wish, and we'll give you an opportunity for that. I think you have is this yours?
That's mine, yeah.
Okay, so if you wish to speak to this,
Yes.
administrative appeal basically is when you disagree with the actions taken by an agent of the town, the Chip in this
Yes.
case. And we sit in judgment of his decisions.
Yes.
He has the first level of appeal. And he makes his decision he has based on his facts. And if you disagree, you bring your facts forward, and we'll have a conversation and see where it goes.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, as you correctly said, we placed an application for this sign back in June, and it was denied on June 23rd. We felt at the time that it fell within the grounds of a pre-existing non-conforming structure. Now, I've read a lot about this particular subject, and it was in fact correct for Mr. Meany to have brought the subject to the board. It's not something that commonly a building inspector would make a decision on himself, so it's not a personal slight on him at all.
Correct.
It is, in fact, was probably the correct decision for him to make. And as you correctly said, he basically denied it on 2 grounds, 34-7.
Let's take a moment and just turn to that. Do you have a copy? In the event you made a mistake, I'd rather,
I have a large copy of
No,
this denial letter.
we all got these.
Yeah.
Should be able to find it.
Page 72.
So 34.7 basically says, when an existing sign is substantially altered, and it says hysterically, I'm not exactly sure what it means, but I assume that means physically, the new sign shall conform to the provisions of the ordinance. So that was the first element of the denial. The second element of the denial was 34.95. What that says is all internally lit and electronic signs are prohibited, basically, including but not limited to animated changing message,
Right.
electronic moving. Okay.
By the way, this zoning ordinance was changed this March of this year.
Yes.
Am I correct? Yes.
So one of the protections that is afforded to existing non-conforming structures, and I will argue that a sign is a pre-existing non-conforming structure, is under RSA 674-19.
We got it.
And I've actually appended a copy of what that says.
I have a copy of that too.
On the document that I provided you. So if you have a pre-existing non-conforming sign, or pre-existing non-conforming structure, what 674-19 says is a zoning ordinance adopted under 674-16, part of the same RSA, shall not apply to existing structures or to the existing use of any building. It shall apply to the alteration of a building for use, for a purpose, or in a manner which is substantially different from the use to which it was put before alteration. That's a bit of verbiage. In the same way that you asked the previous gentleman to me about a variance, there were 5 criteria that he had to subject argument to. The New Hampshire Supreme Court said exactly the same thing about RSA 674-19. And obviously you're aware that the variance gave you the 5 criteria. In the case of New London Land Association versus New London ZBA, the Supreme Court basically said you need to prove 4 points. Okay. Firstly, does the proposed change arise naturally through evolution, such as new or better technology? Number 1. Number 2, is it required for the purpose of making the existing use more available to the owner, or does it constitute a new or different use? Thirdly, will the change or expansion render the premises proportionally less adequate for the use in terms of the requirements of the ordinance? And fourthly, lastly, will the change or expansion have a substantially different effect or impact on abutting property or the neighborhood? Okay, so to be successful, I have to prove those 4 points to you, in the same way that Simplex, which is the case that delivered the variance criteria, delivered this, that New London delivers these things. So initially, 674-16 applies to the Weare Code. Okay, Article 1 of the zoning code, zoning ordinance, basically says, in pursuance of the authority conferred by Title LXIV, which I'm not actually sure what that actually is in real terms, the Town of Ware's ordinance is subject to these New Hampshire regulations. So firstly, the authority given to the Town of Ware to make the ordinance was granted by this part of the New Hampshire State Code. Secondly, that sign is internally illuminated. So under current code, it's not conforming. If it was externally illuminated, it would be conforming, but it's not. It's internally illuminated. Therefore, it is non-conforming. Thirdly, the sign is a structure, and without quoting case law, the sign has been basically stated by the New Hampshire Supreme Court to be a structure. So that basically tells me that I can argue on those 4 points for this particular appeal. To that end, if I refer back to the tests that the Supreme Court set out, firstly, does the proposed change arise naturally through evolution, such as new or better technology, out of the grandfathered use? My colleague today was telling me that, and I'm too young to remember this, that previously gas price signs were a flip method. They were like little flip things, sort of like you used to see in an airport, where you'd flip the numbers and you would generate the gas price sign. That technology was very poor and unreliable. So 20 years ago, someone came up with the plastic numbers that are on the sign on the left. So they came up with a better system 20 years ago. Maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, someone came up with yet a better system. And the new system is those LED numbers. They display only gas prices, and they can't flash. The actual structure of the LED doesn't allow flashing. They dim with ambient light conditions and become brighter with ambient light conditions. And they were used for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's easier for the public to read gas price signs from that sort of sign than the one on the left. And as such, it improves traffic safety. Secondly, LED signs eliminate the need to get up in cold, wet, snowy, icy weather with a stick with a rubber cup on the end and change the plastic numbers. Those are prone to fall off, and the actual plastic track is somewhat like a gutter. So with ice and rain and that sort of stuff, you can get freezing water in that, you get ice in that, and the letters generally don't stay on particularly well and are quite difficult to put up in adverse conditions. The LED signs are changed from inside the building. It's something like a garage opener, and the numbers are just changed by the operator inside the garage. The other thing, the last benefit, is that they are able to be linked into a network. So in other words, and I'm not saying that's going to happen in this case, but it certainly is a possibility, is someone in a remote office, maybe Tewkesbury, can hop on a network and change the price on the dispensers. When he changes the price on the dispensers, that sign will also automatically change. So there's a benefit to an owner-operator to be able to change these things from a remote perspective. So I would argue the first point is that this is just a newer technology than the old plastic numbers. There's nothing scary about it. You can't put people's faces, pictures of faces on it. You can't flash it. It just displays numbers, sort of like an old digital watch, not fundamentally different to that. So that was the first point. The second point is it required for the purpose of making the existing use more available to the owner, or does it constitute a new and different use? Clearly, there's no change in use anticipated. This was a gas station. It is going to remain a gas station. That is a gas price sign. It's going to be a gas price sign after we do whatever we got to do to it. There's absolutely no change in the function of the sign itself. It is just simply a gas sign. There's absolutely no change in use. However, as I said, it allows the owner to link into a network, and it limits employee injury and the injury to passers-by as they lift these plastic letters in. So I would argue that it is not a new and different use. It's exactly the same use as was there before. Third point is, will change or expansion render the premises proportionally less adequate for the use in terms of the requirements of the ordinance? What that means is, if I change the sign from one to the other, will this become less of a gas station? Now, where it's clear that there's absolutely no difference. It's going to be a gas station. When we changed the sign, it was a gas station before we changed the sign. This, the case law in this case was someone wanted to, I think, turn a massage parlor into a plumbing shop. There was something like that, and that was not allowed on this basis, because it was a different use. But there's absolutely no different use anticipated in this case. It's a gas price sign now. It's always going to be a gas price sign, or that's what we're asking for. The fourth point is, will the change or expansion have a substantially different effect on abutting property? Okay. I would argue that it's not going to have a substantial effect at all on abutting property. In fact, we're reducing the square footage of the existing sign by taking the mobile sign away. The price sign by the two price signs, the one on the left and one on the right, the blue ones, are approximately the same size. It's 14.8 square feet versus 15.2. When you take the diesel away, though, which is what we intend to do, the net effect is certainly not detrimental to anyone in the neighborhood. As I said, the sign dims, it increases in brightness when it gets bright out, and when it's dark out, it decreases in brightness. So there's no net effect, or in fact, I would say there's a negative net effect on the glare from the sign when we change it. The sign faces the digits are all the same size as before. The LED price changes are becoming widely used everywhere. I mean, virtually every gas station you see these days has these LED price changes. I can't see that it's going to cause any really substantial effects to the neighborhood at all. In fact, I'd argue there's really no effect. So, I mean, in conclusion, we would argue that this was a case that was correctly referred to you. However, we would argue that this is a case that falls fairly and squarely within the parameters of a pre-existing non-conforming sign, and we're really asking just to continue our use of that pre-existing non-conforming sign.
Are you through your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. The nature of your existing sign is a reflective nature, meaning any light that's that sign is reflected out in your electromagnetic detectors, which is your eyeball, pick up the light. So it's incumbent on the amount of light that hits that sign that you see. Daylight is a certain amount of light over the spectrum that hits that and reflects back the white that you see and the blue that you would see in the picture. I'm talking about the top.
Yeah.
With the other ones that you have, a different technology, you have electromagnetic transmitters, which is light.
Yep.
Okay? And you mentioned that the light will be established during the day at one level, and I understand it will attenuate or be turned down at the evening when it doesn't need such a bright light. What governs the amount of light that does come out during the day or during night? Is that set by you? Is that designed?
It's operated. No, it's operator adjustable. So there's on the controls. You set the controls between 1 and 9.
Okay, so you can personally adjust that.
That's correct. So you can adjust it between a level of 1 and 9, and
But it is adjustable online and also adjustable manually at the gas station.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
The question I have regarding that is the programming in it that could be altered in a way that it could flash.
No.
There's no.
No, there's no ability to do that. These are the LEDs in this sign are different types of LEDs
That's
to
what
the
I'm
LED
asking.
that you would find in maybe a typical flashing light, which would be maybe a message board or message sensor.
So the numbers aren't going to change?
Well, they'll change. They will.
Well,
as gas prices change, they'll change up
yeah.
and down. But no, you're not going to see flash.
My
There's
kind of a
no-
curiosity thing is you've got 3 prices on the old sign, but now you only have 1. So I would expect or half expect that number would change, and in the process of changing, you're creating kind of a flashing situation.
No. On the existing price sign, 3 gasoline grades are advertised.
Yeah.
On the new price sign, just 1
Oh, okay.
grade of gasoline is advertised, but the green one is the diesel.
Okay, so the changing of the digits aren't going to be one after another kind of thing. It's more okay.
And then is the current sign illuminated, the
Yeah.
price sign?
Yes, sir.
So, to put it in a nutshell, your sign, albeit slightly different, will be behaving the same as a static sign,
Yes,
with the exception that whatever period that gasoline prices change over a week, month, or day, it will be, so somebody with a suction cup putting little numbers up, it'll be done either remotely or at your gas station.
yes, sir. I mean, the manual price sign changes as well. So they both change.
We
It's-
understand
It's
that.
just a method of how you actually change it.
But you would expect it to be consistent with the same change rate.
Yes,
And is the current sign illuminated 24 hours a day?
I believe it's illuminated during working hours, during business hours.
Right, I believe it's turned off when Steve, when they close up, they shut that down.
And will that remain the
That would be
same?
exactly
Does
that.
that be your intent as well, to shut the price off?
Whatever, yeah, that goes off. The whole sign will go dark. So when the gas station is closed, the sign goes off.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions from the board? This is consistent with, New London versus Edward Luzinski, and Hooksett Conservation Commission, and Hooksett Zoning Board. So, any questions of the applicant? Not, I will request that we will close this in the positive, so that if we find, we vote yes, it means we uphold the applicant. If we vote no, it means we vote against the town of Weare. Everybody clear on that? Yes means for the applicant, no means we turn chip that one as administrative. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept case number 0716 in its entirety.
Move to accept.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Being none. Abstentions? Being none. Got your sign?
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. I often say this when I finished one of these meetings. Thank you for your service. It must be the most thankless task in
can be.
life, but I appreciate it. And I didn't just say that because I was proved, but it's late at night and often these things
If
go
this
wrong.
went on till midnight, it would become one of those.
Yeah, I'm sure it does occasionally. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Winlow.
Thank you.
Stop in for your permit.
Yeah.
Okay, we got some minutes. Oh, we have another business item here. A Mr. Carl Landon of LZL Inc. Request to extend, I don't know what property it is, but it's on Russell Drive. I don't know what the number is or anything.
Yeah, I'm not exactly
So,
sure at the moment. but
Carl
he's been doing
Landon's
it for
property
years.
on Russell's Drive, he's asking you to extend the variance. Which,
Put
for
the
some
numbers
class
on it.
of variances, which is before the 2-year mandate of the state, we would have to do this.
Move to grant the the extension.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussions? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions? 500. Now, we got some minutes. I don't know where they are. Here we go.
Would you like to wait until she comes back to do this?
Yeah, in case we have changes. Good point. Okay. I suggest, I move that we, adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank